Break of this world's chain, we adore thee, whom all men love. Spotless, taking man's form, O purifier, thou art both agnostic, knowledge divine, not flesh, thou whom the cosmos wears, a diamond at its heart. Let us look deep in thine eyes. They are bright with the wisdom of God, that can wake us from mind's spell. Let us hold fast to thy feet, treading the waves of the world to safety. O drunk with love, God drunken lover, in thee all paths of all yours meet. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours, who art born a child by time, easy of access to us. O merciful, if we take any hold upon upon God in our prayer. It is by thy grace alone. Since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake, how great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not paint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. Without question thou settest us, and the world they see in its wrath, seem shrunk to the puddle that fills a footprint in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind, yet without thee we think not, nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Take away our view. We salute thee, though we are blind. Come to the heart's black cave, illumine thou light of the light.
Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Good evening, everyone. Today we're celebrating the birthday of one of the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Saradananda. He was truly remarkable. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna had a vision in which he saw him and his cousin, Shoshi, who later became Swami Ramakrishnanandaji. And he said, in a vision, I saw that Shoshi and Sharat had been among the followers of Christ. So it's appropriate that we just celebrated Christmas. He was apparently one of the disciples of Christ. He was born on 23rd December 1865, so 2 years younger than Swami Vivekananda. He was a very good student, and he was admitted to St. Xavier's College in 1883. And the father there, Father Lafont, he was impressed with him. He was the principal of the college. And so he actually tutored him separately from kind of extracurricularly. He tutored him in the Bible and Christianity. So Saradananda had a deep affinity for Christianity. It was in October 1883 that he first met Sri Ramakrishna. He was part of the Brahma Samaj. He used to attend the lectures, the Brahma Samaj lectures of Keshav Chandra Sen. He and his cousin Shashi would go. And it was through a mutual friend that he heard about Sri Ramakrishna, because Keshav had written an article in a newspaper about Sri Ramakrishna. And so that mutual friend had read the article, and he said, why don't we go visit Sri Ramakrishna? So they all went together, Sharat, Shoshi, his cousin, and several other people. Sri Ramakrishna could immediately tell that these two were going to be part of his inner circle of followers. And he started teaching them about intense renunciation and the need to renounce everything for God. And in that context, somebody other than Shashi and Sharat, somebody else in that group, he said, then, sir, is it wrong to marry? Is it against the will of God? Interestingly, see, we think that Sri Ramakrishna, some people mistakenly think he was illiterate, that he didn't know anything about the scriptures, but he owned several books, and one of them was the Bible, presumably a Bengali translation. So he asked somebody to take down a copy of the Bible, and he actually pointed to passages and said, he'd read out these passages. So he said, one of the passages that was read out from the Bible was from Jesus. Jesus said, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. There are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive. So lifelong brahmacharya or celibacy. And then Sri Ramakrishna asked the same person to read another passage from St. Paul from the New Testament. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. So early on, he groomed Sharat Maharaj to be a sannyasi, a renunciate. And he started visiting Sri Ramakrishna quite regularly, usually on Thursdays. What we have in the form of the Kathamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, is usually weekend visits, because M was busy teaching in school. So he would visit Sri Ramakrishna on weekends usually. And so we actually don't get a lot of what Sri Ramakrishna told visitors who came to him on other days, especially weekdays, like Sharat Maharaj. There's some very interesting incidents. I can't share all of them, but I'll just mention one of them. One day, when Sharat Maharaj was visiting Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna was praising Ganesha highly for his purity and his love. And Sharat Maharaj was very impressed, and he told Sri Ramakrishna, he said, sir, I like the character of Ganesha very much. He is my ideal. And Sri Ramakrishna immediately corrected him and said, no, Ganesha is not your ideal. Your ideal is Shiva. In you lie dormant the attributes of Shiva. Always think of yourself as Shiva and me as your Shakti. I am the ultimate repository of all your powers. It's remarkable. Another thing is interesting is, well before Sharat Maharaj had ever met Sri Ramakrishna, he had been to a place where Naren, the future Swami Vivekananda, had been. And so he had seen him before. But his first impression of Naren was that he was kind of arrogant and conceited. He was kind of turned off by Naren. And that he had bad manners, kind of rude and stuck up. One day, he visits Sri Ramakrishna, And Sri Ramakrishna starts praising a boy named Naren. And he just assumed this is some other Naren. Sri Ramakrishna says, these boys are good. This boy has passed 1.5 examinations. He was pointing at Sharat. He is polite and calm, but I have not seen another boy like Narendra. He is as good in music, vocal and instrumental, as in the acquisition of knowledge, in conversation, as well as in religious matters. He loses normal consciousness in meditation for whole nights. And he goes on praising this Naren to the skies. And Sharat is like, well, this can't be the same Naren. He couldn't put two and two. So then he asks Sri Ramakrishna, well, where does this Narendra live? And he says, Narendra is the son of Bishwanath Datta of Shimla, Kolkata. So Sharat went to visit him. Finds out, oh my, this is the guy that I thought was so conceited and arrogant and useless. And then they became fast friends. They became extremely close friends for the rest of Swamiji's life. And Swamiji had an implicit trust in him and gave him tremendous responsibilities later on, as we'll see. Another very important incident. Sri Ramakrishna one day, he was in a mood where he felt like blessing everybody. And he asked Sharat in this state, how would you like to realize God? What divine vision do you prefer to see in meditation? Sharat replied, I do not want to see any particular form of God in meditation. I want to see God in all beings. I do not like visions. And then Sri Ramakrishna said with a smile, that is the last word in spiritual attainment. You cannot have it all at once. But Sharat persisted. He said, I won't be satisfied with anything short of that. I shall strive my best until I am able to attain it. And then Sri Ramakrishna blessed him and said, yes, you will attain it. And we'll find out later that he, of course, does attain this realization of vijnana, seeing God in all and serving them accordingly. Because he was a good student, he was admitted to medical college, and his father really wanted him to go into medical practice and support the family. Sharat felt pressured on that side. On the other side, he is feeling more and more drawn toward Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna had this thing where he couldn't take food from doctors or lawyers. No offense to any doctors or lawyers out there. And so he told Sharat, he said, if you become a doctor, I shall not be able to eat food from your hand. And so now Sharat is in a bit of a fix. Then, seemingly unrelatedly, Sri Ramakrishna suddenly tells Sharat, you should visit the younger Naren. He was already good friends at this point with Swami Vivekananda, the older Naren. So now Sri Ramakrishna says, you should visit the younger Naren and make his acquaintance, get to know him. And Sharat Maharaj, he kind of said, well, he's not going to hold a candle to the older Naren, you know. And then Sri Ramakrishna kind of gets irritated. He says, you brat are very one-sided. It is a sign of small-mindedness. As the flower tray of the Lord contains various kinds of flowers, so he has all kinds of devotees. Okay, you must one day visit the younger Naren, won't you? And then he agreed, and he went to visit Naren, but kind of reluctantly. And this younger Naren started telling him things that were exactly appropriate to his current state of mind. And one of the particular things that really struck him was the younger Naren said to him, brother, whatever the master asks us to do is for our good. Otherwise, what self-interest does he have? And at that moment, Sharat realized that he can't pursue medicine, that it's far more important for him to give up medicine and serve Sri Ramakrishna, which he did. Another really interesting incident. The more that Sharat started visiting Sri Ramakrishna, his father got more and more kind of troubled. And his father tried to come up with certain stratagems to lure his son back to family life. And so I'll just share one of them. Sharat's father was, his family guru was named Jagan Mohan Tarkalankar, who was a famous Pandit and a Tantric yogi. And so he came up with this idea. He said, what I'll do is I'll bring this Pandit, Jagan Mohan, to Sri Ramakrishna when my son is there. And ahead of time, we're going to prepare these really tough spiritual/philosophical questions that we're going to ask Sri Ramakrishna and then humiliate him in front of Sharat. Because Sri Ramakrishna, obviously, he's illiterate. He's not going to be able to answer these questions properly. And then Sharat's going to get disenchanted and then come back to us. It's perfect. It's going to work out perfectly. And so he goes and he does this. But the result was exactly the opposite. After talking briefly with Sri Ramakrishna, Jagan Mohan realized Sri Ramakrishna's greatness. And then he told Girish later. Girish is the name of Sharat's father. He said, I will never advise Sharat to give up such a guru. So that plan failed. Later on, his father tried to get him married. That fell through as well. Another interesting incident, his younger brother, Sharat's younger brother, Charu, came to visit Sri Ramakrishna one day. And Sri Ramakrishna could immediately tell that this boy also had strong spiritual inclinations. And then he kind of debated to himself, should I also draw him in? And then he thought against it. And he said, no more. I have taken one. And if I take this one also, your parents, he's telling Sharat this, especially your mother, will be very grieved. I have displeased many a Shakti in my life, meaning many women. No more now. So just look at his spiritual power, though. He could just, by spiritual force, draw people in whenever he wanted. So, of course, as we all know, when the elder Gopal, who later became Advaitanandaji, had a number of Gerua cloths to give to Sri Ramakrishna, to give to monks, he said there are no better monks than these. And one of those 12 people was Sharat, the future Swami Saradananda. So it was essentially Sri Ramakrishna who initiated him into sannyasa. After Sri Ramakrishna's passing on 16th August 1886, of course, a very dilapidated monastery was started in Baranagar, where it was extreme austerity. They barely had anything to eat. And Sharat went over and joined them. And he went on a lot of pilgrimages to various places in India: Puri, Gaya, Bodh Gaya, Varanasi, Ayodhya, Haridwar, Rishikesh. I'll just mention one or two incidents from his wandering days. On Shivaratri day, during his pilgrimage, he went to visit Nilkanteshwara Shiva, 16 miles from Rishikesh. And it was on a remote hill in a jungle which is full of wild animals that can kill you. And on their way back that evening, they both lost their way. He's with Turiyanandaji, So Turiyanji and Saradananda are together. They lose their way. And then they decide, well, look, if we wander together, maybe both of us are going to die. So it's better that we go in different directions, and we'll catch up later, hopefully. And so Turiyanji goes and tries to find shelter. He finds an ashrama. And the next morning, he and another monk in that ashrama go out on a search to find Saradananda. What do they find? He was just sitting stock still in meditation on a rock. And he didn't even bother to find shelter. And when they asked him, what's the deal? Why didn't you go find shelter? He said, when death is certain, it is better to die chanting God's name without being anxious. He also went to Gangotri, Kedar, Bodri. There's a beautiful incident that took place in his journey toward Kedarnath. He decided to test Sri Ramakrishna. And so he just thought to himself, if anyone feeds me luchi and halwa tomorrow, I shall believe that the master is with me. And then lo and behold, what happens? The very next day, a shopkeeper out of the blue calls him and says, hello, holy man, have some refreshment. Saradananda says, I have two more companions. There are two people with him. Please give me whatever you want and I shall share with them. But this guy says, no, you eat first. I shall arrange for them later. And then what did the shopkeeper serve him? Luchi and halwa. And then Saradananda said, okay, so now give it for my two friends. And he said, sorry, I don't have anything more for anyone else. It was literally Sri Ramakrishna just sent him to give him the luchi and the halwa. Saradananda, one of his great qualities, one of his many great spiritual qualities, was that he had this tremendous spirit of service, and he would serve anybody in need. And so there was a householder devotee of Sri Ramakrishna's who was dying of TB, of tuberculosis. His name was Yajneshwar Bhattacharya. And he just forgot everything, dropped everything, and served him until he died. Then, suddenly, in 1896, Swami Vivekananda, of course, was touring the West, and he asked Saradananda to come to England. So he came to England in March of 1896. And when he stopped at Rome, he went to visit St. Peter's Cathedral. And he had a profound experience where, standing in front of the sanctuary, his mind became absorbed in his past life when he was a disciple of Christ, and he lost outer consciousness for some time. But then Swamiji asked him to come ultimately to the US, and so he came to New York toward the end of June 1896, and he gave a number of lectures. Unfortunately, most of the lectures he gave are now lost, and we only have a transcript of a single one of his lectures, which is entitled Vedanta, Its Theory and Practice. But he was a good lecturer, actually. It's just a shame that we don't have records of what he taught. Then, after about 2.5 years, he was recalled back to India in 1898, and so he came back. And Belumat, of course, was newly established. And Swamiji, Swami Vivekananda, he could see the character and the personality of these different brother disciples. And so he appointed Swami Brahmananda to be the president of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission. And he appointed Saradananda as the general secretary, which is an extremely important position. It's the administrative head of the entire global organization. And he served in that capacity as general secretary for about 3 decades, 1898 all the way up to 1927. He was an incredibly gifted leader. He was a born leader, what people these days in MBA speak call the servant leader, or a very sattvika kind of leader. Absolutely no ego, no tendencies to micromanage. Extremely cool-headed and level-headed, extremely practical, brilliant at kind of troubleshooting and problem solving. This is just imagine the first half of the 20th century, British colonial India. So there are a lot of young, fiery, revolutionary men who are freedom fighters who, after having a change of heart, decide to join the order. And Sharat Maharaj never turned them away. He accepted them, but then he got under the radar of the British government, who were suspicious of these people who were ex-revolutionaries, and maybe they were kind of under the guise of spirituality still plotting plans to overthrow the British. And so he had to deal with all these issues, turmoil politically and so on, and he dealt with them with great aplomb. He was the ideal synthesis of the 4 yogas. Incredibly devoted to Sri Ramakrishna, incredible worker, karma yogi, incredible meditator, great writer, as we'll soon see. So really a combination, so an ideal for all of us. Interestingly, this is somewhat unusual for the monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. In 1900, he decided to get initiated into Tantra sadhana with the blessings of Holy Mother and Brahmanandaji. So he didn't just decide to do this on his own, but they gave him permission, and he did it. And it opened up new vistas for him in terms of his appreciation and worship of Divine Mother, of Shakti, to the point where he was inspired to write an entire book in Bengali, which is part of our tradition. It's called Bharate Shakti Puja, which means mother worship in India. And it carries the following dedication. He says, by whose gracious glance, meaning Divine Mother's glance, the author has been able to realize the revelation of divine motherhood in every woman. To her lotus feet, the work is dedicated in all humility and devotion. Swamiji had a bit of a temper sometimes because he had so much on his plate and he knew that he was going to leave his body soon. So he'd sometimes berate his brother disciples about small things. And so one time he was not pleased with Sharat Maharaj for something very minor. And he started severely rebuking him with the harsh words. And Sharat Maharaj, unlike, I think many of you know that when he would scold Brahmanandaji would get very affected and start crying, and he was ready to leave Belumat one day. But Sharat Maharaj, completely unperturbed, literally sitting stock still, not bothered. And at tea time, he came, had his tea with Swamiji, behaved normally, and Swamiji was kind of like amazed by this, and he said, Sharat's veins carry the blood of fish. It will never warm up. So he made fun of, but so he recognized his greatness as a leader, and so that's why he made him the general secretary of the organization. You need that kind of cool head. He was also a great servant of Holy Mother, and he took care of her for many years. And he, in fact, set up her place in what's called Udbodhan, or Mayer Badi, Mother's house in Kolkata, where she stayed for a number of years, from 1909 to 1920 when she left her body. And he was her most faithful servant after Yoganandaji passed in 1899. And he was there serving Holy Mother day and night. And she said, I shall be able to live at Udbodhan as long as Sharat is there. I do not see anyone who can be responsible for me after that. Sharat can in every respect. He is the man to bear my burdens. She had absolute trust in Sharat, and he did an extraordinary job serving her. One day, a devotee came to Saradananda and said, I have great respect, admiration, reverence for Sri Ramakrishna, but I don't really see holy Sharada Devi in the same light. She just seems like kind of an ordinary woman to me. He was very honest, and Saradananda asked this one simple question. He said, do you mean to say that God married the daughter of a woman who maintained herself by gathering cow dung? So would God marry somebody ordinary? And that convinced him, of course. 1909, Sharat Maharaj starts to write Leela Prasanga, the great official biography of Sri Ramakrishna. And it's called Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, which the first English translation was by Jagadanandaji, called Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, and then Swami Chaitanyaji retranslated it somewhat recently as Sri Ramakrishna and His Divine Play. It's a great biography. And I'll just mention, this was not written from an intellectual standpoint. It was grounded in his own meditation and realization. And somebody asked him one day about his descriptions of samadhi, of Sri Ramakrishna's samadhi experiences in the Great Master. And he said, read the chapter on samadhi in Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master. I have not written anything about samadhi without experiencing it myself. And on another occasion, he said, nothing beyond my spiritual experience has been recorded in the book. Okay, that just shows his stature. And so he was ably running the entire organization as a general secretary while he's sitting in Udbodan looking after Holy Mother Sharada Devi, while at the same time juggling this responsibility of writing this massive tome, this biography in Bangla on Sri Ramakrishna, which also became a Bengali literary classic because the writing was so beautiful and sophisticated. So I'm skipping a lot, but I'll just mention a few things. So 1922, Swami Brahmanandaji, who was the president of Belumat for many years, he leaves his body, which means what? Now somebody else needs to be president. Somebody needs to take over. So they hold an election. And the two candidates are Shivanandaji and Saradanandaji. Saradanandaji wins 95% of the votes, but he refuses to take the post because he says, Swamiji appointed me the general secretary. I shall never give up that post. And so he asked that Shivanandaji become the president. But shortly thereafter, he started initiating spiritual aspirants, still as the general secretary. And he initiated many monks and brahmacharis as well. It's a very interesting, he was very devotional, but at the same time, very smart and rational at the same time. And so one day in 1925, two young scientists who prided themselves on their learning and their skepticism, they visited Saradanandaji in Udbodan. And one of them asked him, does God exist? And then he says simply, yes. Scientist, what is the proof? Saradananda, the words of the rishis. After experiencing God, they proclaimed that God exists. Scientist, there is a possibility of their making mistakes. Saradananda, is it possible that all sages have made mistakes? And then the scientist says, I won't believe without experiencing God myself. And then Sharat Maharaj says something in reply which finally convinces him. He says, very well, is it possible that you will only believe after seeing everything yourself? Suppose you have never been in England. You will have to know about England from those who have visited it. Although you have not seen it, you cannot deny the existence of England. Likewise, God exists. You will have to trust the judgment of those who have seen him. After seeing God, Ramakrishna said to everyone, I have seen God. You can also see him through spiritual disciplines and longing. In this scientific age, the master came to dispel the doubts of the people by demonstrating religion. And finally, this response is what convinced these young skeptical scientists. I'll mention a couple of his teachings. Somebody asked him, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Mon muk ek karo in Bangla, which means make what you think align with what you say. And somebody asked Saradananda, what exactly does that mean? And then Saradananda said that you must be sincere, that your inner life should tally with the outer. But this person wasn't satisfied. He said, it is naturally so. Whatever we speak, we think in our mind. I mean, everybody does that automatically, right? Saradananda, do you think it is so easy? We chant the name of the Lord very superficially. We say, O Lord, I am your servant, and you are my master. I have renounced everything for you. I call you, Lord, please grant me your vision. And at the same time, we are harboring bad thoughts in the mind. That does not work. As you speak, so you must think. In other words, while you take the name of the Lord, think of him alone. Another time, somebody asked him, what is the meaning of our mantra? And his answer was, may God, who is the creator, sustainer, and dissolver of the universe, remove my sorrows. This is the significance of all mantras. Have faith in God, otherwise even thousands of explanations will be of no use. Pray to him and love him. In 1921, Saradananda, as the General Secretary, was the one who arranged for the construction of the temple dedicated to Holy Mother Sharada Devi in Belur Math, overlooking the Ganges, on the banks of the Ganges. 2 years later, in 1923, he's the one who oversaw the construction of the Joyrambati temple in Mother's birthplace as well. And he had all sorts of realizations, and one small hint of that is that he kept a little diary where he has a few entries, and I'll just read a couple. He says, January 17th, 1924, third vision of Divine Mother. February 10th, 1924, intense communion touching center. Repeated vision of the Divine Mother continues, which culminated on February 19th. February 19th, 1924, communion, and then in quotes, you in me, which seems to be some words that were directly told to him by Divine Mother, you in me. One of his last letters that he ever wrote, he wrote this sentence, he who surrenders, the Master will definitely protect him, protect him, protect him. He left his body on 19th August 1927, and monks began to chant Hari Om Ramakrishna, and at 2:34 a.m., many of you are familiar with the story that at the time that Swami Vivekananda left his body, Shashi Maharaj, the cousin of Sharat Maharaj, he was sitting in Madras, and Swamiji communicated to him mystically and said, my dear Shashi, I have spat out my body. So we all know that. Something similar happened right at the moment when Sharat Maharaj left his body, because he leaves his body in Udbodhan, in Mayarbadi in Kolkata. And at that very moment, Mahapurush Maharaj, Shivanandaji, who was the president, he was in Belur Math, very far away, and there are no phones. And at the very moment he left his body, Sharat Maharaj spoke to Shivanandaji mystically and said, Tarokda, I'm going to Kashi. Kashi means Varanasi. Tarokda, I'm going to Kashi. And he left his body. So I thought it would be, the best way to conclude would be to circle back to Sri Ramakrishna's promise, his blessing to Sharat Maharaj, that he would indeed have the vision of God in all. So did he? Of course he did. There's an incident that reflects that. One devotee once asked Swami Saradananda, who was full of love for everyone, he said, Swami, why do you love us so much? And at the time, Saradananda didn't give a direct answer. He didn't say anything. But a few days later, when that same devotee came to Udbodhan to visit Saradananda, Saradananda then told him, a few days ago, I went to Belur Math and prostrated before Sri Ramakrishna. The Master appeared before me and said, you love all because you find me in all. That is the answer I would give today. So let's pray to Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sharada Devi that we can follow the example of Swami Saradananda, the perfect synthesis of the four yogas, and realize God in this very life. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.